Good afternoon. Welcome to the last session of the 2018 Oregon Wine Symposium. The benefits of marketing automation to reach the right customer at the right time with the right content are really compelling. Today's tools allow small businesses with limited staff resources to run complex campaigns successfully, to manage their time effectively, all in a cost-effective way. Today's panel will bring some of these best practices in marketing automation to life. My name is Lesley Berglund. I'm your moderator for this final session. Each of our panelists will take about 15 minutes to go over their presentation, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. Our first panelist is Krauss Towt. Chris founded VineSpring in 2011 with the mission to simplify the DTC equation for craft producers of wine, aiming for more satisfied customers through better managed DTC relationships. VineSpring brings together powerful cloud-based tools into one web interface. Chris also owns Dustin Wines, a 1,200-case winery in Sonoma. Next to Chris, we have Sarah Bernosky. Sarah manages strategic sales at Square. As consumers change the way they expect to make payments in the retail, services, and hospitality industries, Sarah works with mid-market businesses to stay at the cutting edge of these trends through Square's payment platform and software services. Next to Sarah, we have Jason Moore. Jason is a winemaker for his own modus operandi cellars, as well as consulting winemaker for 5 other producers in California. When he's not making wine, Jason also works with Echo DTC, which we'll hear more about. Next to Jason, we have Jan Krauss. Jan is the founder and creative director of Vin Agency. From its home based in Portland, Oregon, Vin Agency provides art direction, identity branding, graphic design, and web development to fine wineries all over the world. Let's start with Chris, who's going to further set up this session and help us connect the dots between our panelists. Thank you.
Man, thank you for staying this late. I looked outside and the roads looked wet, no longer icy. I'm from Colorado originally, and I couldn't believe school was canceled today, but I guess I thought you guys showed up, so thank you. My name is Krauss Towt. I'm the co-founder of VineSpring. VineSpring is a winery e-commerce platform, although we're changing that to really beverage alcohol e-commerce platform. And then we're amending that with this buzzword about the subscription economy. So what is the subscription economy, and what do we do? VineSpring, any beverage alcohol e-commerce system, I think there's maybe just more than 10 of us out there, maybe 15. There's a lot of small players, some big players that you guys know about. Any of them, what makes them unique from general e-commerce, like Squarespace Commerce, Shopify, those kind of things, is clubs and allocations. And then, of course, compliance, promotions that apply to wine-specific promotions, that kind of thing. So when I think of clubs and allocations, I think it fits really well with this term, the subscription economy. In general, I feel the beverage alcohol space has been sort of held back, stagnant on innovation, largely because there truly aren't that many of us. Dunstan Wines, my 1,000 to 1,500, depending on the year, case brand. It's really my wife's brand. I'm a tech guy, and I started helping her with her brand. I thought, geez, let's turn to one of these big players out there. But as soon as we started a wine club, it became obvious we needed something beverage alcohol specific. So diving in on the club space specifically, I feel like though we're thinking about things from a winery perspective instead of a customer perspective, and the whole world is transitioning outside of this space to a customer perspective. The Dollar Shave Club, Blue Apron, any of these subscription-based models where the customer has ultimate choice And in our clubs, a lot of the time it seems like we're trapping our customers, not allowing them to leave, it's difficult for them to cancel out of the club. To me, the missing piece is automation. We're a 3-person team. If you include my wife and I and one other person on that 1,000-case wine brand, I don't have the time necessarily to respond to people canceling via my website. So we haven't allowed it. Layer in automation and the ability to auto-respond to a cancellation. Imagine that your club member can cancel via your website, but an email is immediately sent, or maybe an hour and a half later sent to make it feel a little more personal, asking, George, would you mind letting us know a little more information about why you canceled, and then creating workflows that then respond to what George said. Maybe I have too much wine in my cellar. It's a common one. So, well, did you know we have a 3-bottle club? There are ways now to automate those kind of responses. That is really why I wanted to, I said, let's create a whole discussion on marketing automation. And those tools are affordable. Square and Sarah, representing Square, they have an email marketing automation suite within their product. Square might be something a lot of small businesses use. They have access to this email marketing. So Square, Sarah will be talking about that. Jason is working with, what really opened my eyes, what Jason brought to me was something called Infusionsoft. This is a bigger application, very muscular kind of thing with a lot of automation options, and Jason's going to talk about some of those real complexities that go into that and the results that he's been able to derive from it. And then Jan is a brand ambassador. He's a guy who has built a lot of winery websites and done a great job leveraging the brand across all the platforms, whether it's your email through MailChimp or your web presence, maybe Instagram, Facebook. Jan has been able to do best practice in getting that image out there. So one thing that we have stepped back on, taken a step back and started VineSpring anew, we re-platformed in the last year, we'll be launching it later this year, is an event-driven architecture. Now, what is that? Event-driven architectures help create automation paths, because ultimately you can't use MailChimp's workflows if you don't have the data flowing into it from the transaction happening on your website or the data you're putting into your CRM. So VineSpring created an entire system that just triggers the data flowing out so you can take advantage of those workflows. MailChimp is a really popular email marketing platform. A lot of people I know who use competitors to VineSpring. VineSpring has a direct integration with MailChimp, but competitors to VineSpring go, I don't even use their email marketing. I use MailChimp combined with the eCommerce system. The disconnect there doesn't allow you to really use what MailChimp calls the second brain for your business. If you've seen the marketing that MailChimp is putting out there, it's awesome because they're encouraging you to use those workflows to respond to the club member who just canceled via your website. If you can connect those two systems, that's how you start taking advantage and leveraging this automation. So I think more and more are going to follow in our path to create those connections to third-party products. MailChimp may not be the thing that you want to use. There might be Campaign Monitor, Vertical Response, Constant Contact. There's so many out there. But at the core, you need a place that's collecting the data, sending it out so you can create these beautiful workflows elsewhere. So that's a little bit on me, VineSpring, and we're using this term, the subscription economy, because we want to bring the outside world and those great paths to purchase with Blue Apron, Dollar Shave Club, that kind of thing, into the beverage alcohol world. And I don't think you can do that without automation. So let's see. One of the biggest things about automation is do more with less. When you're a small winery, a small company, you want to focus on other things, not just replying to customers. Abandoned carts, that's a simple automation. If somebody leaves a cart on your website, how do you engage with that person to help encourage them or nurture them to the sale? An automated email that is personalized and talks about the items, reminds them what's in their cart, a simple click that allows them to check out easily. That's a simple automation. But I think that the bigger automations are specifically around clubs. The upsell, being able to, just before a club shipment goes out, send an email saying, here's your club's shipment. If you have a platform, they can customize those shipments. Allowing the customer to feel like they can engage and customize is a great thing, and it's going to create a better upsell. The automated workflows can be plugged right into that, right into the club size. You're going to re-engage those club members, hopefully nurturing them to stay in the club, and if they decide to leave, offer them options as to what they can do to change or suspend a shipment, that kind of thing. Automations can also, I mentioned, connect to like Facebook and Instagram. And MailChimp, you can go, again, tools that you might have currently, you can go and create an ad in MailChimp that connects to your Facebook account, will follow if somebody had an impression, did they click on it, did they go to your website, and each one of those paths you can set up workflows on. Workflows that treat the customer at the right time with the right content based on their experience to bring them back to your website. I'm excited. Jason's going to talk about some really cool examples of what he's implemented to share with you on that. And providing a higher level of customer service. I mean, geez, for me as a winery, I put so much attention to detail in the personal experience that people come to our property, but when it comes to the online experience, I'm watching so many fall short of the tools that they have, the tools that they can engage their customer with their personal brand on a personal level. MailChimp's automation, Square's ability to automate emails that engage the customer who just visited or is a repeat buyer. All those things are available today to you if you're using these platforms, and not at a high cost. I've sat in on where you guys are watching panels of big wineries who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on this stuff, and the tide is shifting. These things are becoming just part of the platform that you have access to today. So with that, I want to invite Sarah up to give some examples of the Square automation paths and to tell us about why it really matters, some of the statistics behind it, which really show where we should all be going.
Great, thank you all. And thank you, Chris, for the introduction. So, as he mentioned, I'm Sarah. I'm here from Square. We are a payments and point-of-sale company out of San Francisco, California. And we build a variety of tools to help businesses like yours start, run, and grow. So, just a show of hands, is there anyone in the audience who uses Square at their winery today? Awesome. Has anyone checked out the marketing tools yet? Okay, cool. Well, definitely excited to share a little bit, not just about our platform, but also about some of the trends that we're seeing in the industry. I think perhaps we'll provide a unique perspective because, as you know, Square works with a variety of different businesses, both in industry and also in size. So, we work with anyone from a small one-unit owner-operator to, a 15-unit ice cream shop like Salt and Straw here in Portland to big brands like the North Face. So across different industries, we're really seeing a lot of the same trends. And one of the big trends that I want to focus on today has to do with the expectations that our customers have today about their transactions and interactions with your brand. So what we're seeing is, let me grab my clicker. We're really living in the age of a completely empowered consumer. So more than ever today, customers have so much information before they make any decisions about where they're going to spend their money. So that transition happened over kind of a rapid period of time. It started, if we take a look at history, with just a general store. People would go to a single place to make purchases. Then with the advent of the internet, all of a sudden, people can sit down in front of a computer and really get a ton of information before they make a purchase. So they're looking at review sites, they're comparing prices online, they're looking at ratings. So then in 2007, all of that information moved from a desktop into your consumer's hands. So all of a sudden, it's available in real time. It's available in the aisle of their grocery store. It's available in their Vivino app. So, and then moving to 2010, a little bit of what Chris talked about, how we moved into more of a subscription economy. So I think a lot of people are fearful about these changes and how they impact our businesses. I think overall it's good. I think we're serving customers better because we're able to tailor more personalized experiences to them, and we'll talk a little bit about specifically how we can do that with marketing today. So, sorry, I changed some slides. Great, so we'll just get past a couple of these. So this has caused a lot of changes. So we saw 345 retailers file for bankruptcy, and a lot of those were more traditional models. Some names that you might recognize are Toys R Us, Radio Shack, really kind of the more traditional distribution models. But then we're seeing other brands like Warby Parker, for example, which started with direct-to-consumer, and they're rapidly opening up brick-and-mortar stores. So they opened up 25 brick-and-mortar stores last year, and they're continuing to grow their physical presence. The same goes with brands like Rent the Runway, which started with direct-to-consumer. They're also creating more brick-and-mortar experiences, but they're very personalized and they're more experiential. So instead of just coming and having kind of an impersonal buying experience, you're coming in and getting a glass of wine, the staff member knows your name, it's perhaps an appointment-only interaction. So we really see that the brands that are succeeding are providing these highly personalized experiences, and customers are really expecting to get what they want, where they want, how they want, and when they want it. So we'll talk a little bit about how that translates into the tasting room experience, which is where most of you are probably using Square today who are already on our platform, and then how to capitalize on those highly personalized experiences to connect with your customers and re-engage them. So as you guys know, direct-to-consumer sales are rising within the wine industry. I think this number was 31% in Oregon in 2017. So, great. So I think the first theme is technology really empowers you to deliver these personalized experiences at scale. So where does that start in the marketing funnel? It's going to start with actually collecting customer data. So the place where Square and a wonderful place to start gathering this type of information is directly in the tasting room. So the first piece of that is collecting, again, who are your customers? How do I get in touch with them again? What types of wines do they like? How frequently are they coming into the store? Traditionally, this has been really challenging data to capture. It's not likely that you have staff members that are able to write all this information down on a sunny Saturday afternoon when your tasting room is full. So by using automated tools, so for example, your point of sale system, we can actually automatically generate this data for you. So for example, with Square, if you take a customer's credit card and swipe it through Square, we'll automatically create a customer profile with first and last name and then their email address in the background. This could come from the customer actually entering their email address for their digital receipt. Square has also generated a huge database of customer email addresses from payments at other businesses that we can allow you to capitalize on by using our platform. So an example of that is maybe you go to Stumptown Coffee, you give your email address, and then you use that same payment card at a winery. We'll allow the winery to reach out to your email address. And for contacts, we have about 1/3 of US citizens' email addresses. So it's a pretty powerful tool. And then there's other data that we can really easily generate for you to use for some of these campaigns. So again, what did the customer order? How many times do they usually come every quarter? Does it look like this person has churned? Are they not coming back on kind of their normal cadence? What's the value of the customer? What's their lifetime value or the single visit average value of the customer? So the more of that data that you can capture right in the tasting room, the more successful your re-engagement and conversion is going to be because you're starting with a larger funnel of customers and you have kind of those trigger points to reach your customers. So I think we've all talked a little bit about sending the right content at the right time. I'm sure everyone here has shopped at somewhere like Pottery Barn before. You're looking at a pillow and then 3 days later, they send you an email and they're like, hey, do you remember this pillow you were looking at? It's on sale now. And that's the kind of content that your businesses are also competing with in a lot of ways. So consumers expect that same level of personalization. So what you can do with systems like Square is we have an automated campaign that you can set up that simply takes those types of triggers. So maybe you see a customer who usually comes back once a quarter. It's been 6 months. They haven't been back to the tasting room or bought any wine online. Then you can have Square automatically trigger a specific piece of content to that customer in order to really engage them at the right moment. Some other examples would be welcoming new customers. So there's an experience study that showed that sending a welcome email to your customers the first time they come in real time is 67% more likely to be opened than if you send out those welcome emails in batch. And it's just going to be a lot less work for you if you have a system actually running that campaign. Our most popular campaign is the Happy Birthday campaign. Obviously, you're probably not collecting birthday information right in the tap room, or the tasting room, but we can send out emails to your customers asking for their birthday and then follow up with them on their special day. And we see that campaign has a 73% open rate. So for context, an average open rate for just a blast email is around 23%. So you're essentially tripling your chances at getting a conversion by, again, making sure that it's sending at the right moment. Great. So another theme here, I think, is just meeting customers where they are. So a lot of younger consumers are on Facebook and Instagram. It's great to look at a platform that can integrate some of these campaigns as well with your social channels so that you're not doing the same work in multiple places, having to send out an email campaign and also tweeting it and putting it out on your Facebook. So again, platforms like Square can kind of send out that same content across all of your channels so you're not doubling your efforts. Great. And then finally, I think it's really important to measure the results of your campaigns, again, to make sure that you're spending your time in the the best places or the places where you're going to really maximize ROI. So it's important to kind of look at the analytics to see how your different campaigns are performing and make sure that you're maximizing open rates, and then also if you have the ability through a software like Square to actually see the dollar that your campaign has generated through who's looked at your email or utilized any sort of coupon that you've included. That's really important as well to kind of close the loop on any campaigns that you've created. Great. So that's it for my section. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay, this is my first time to speak in front of a group of people like this, so bear with me. And also, I have my notes on the presenter view, and I don't have that now, so I'll have to just kind of wing it a little bit, but I think we'll be fine. So digital marketing, automation from the small wineries perspective, a little bit about who I am. I'm basically a waiter from Dallas who just fell in love with wine as a teenager, right? Moved to Napa when I was 24 and started the winery when I was 26. First vintage was a whopping 8 barrels a cab, so started out really small. And then it grew to about 2,000 cases without any employees or, defined business processes or whatever. The sales in the club grew. Saw myself kind of recreating the same kind of emails to these people, correspondence back and forth, and kind of realized that wasn't a very effective use of my time since I literally had no employees. So anyways, the follow-up began to kind of fall through the cracks, which essentially will cost you money. And then lead generation slowed, my business kind of tapered off. So here we go. Here comes marketing automation. Somehow, I think I was probably digitally marketed to, which is how I found Infusionsoft in the first place. I don't know why I was targeted, but I got an ad for Bentley the other day, and I was pretty pleased about that. So, I don't know. They definitely have the wrong guy there. But anyways, so Infusionsoft is what I found. Didn't know anything about it in the beginning. But as I learned about it, I got super into it. And it just kind of became this little second passion for me. And so to the point where I invested my time and money and became a certified partner for Infusionsoft. So I literally sell this stuff too on the side, not as a main thing, but I'm just super passionate about it. So it's easy to talk about. But I didn't buy in immediately. It was not something that I adopted super quick. The thing is with this is there's a lot of times there's a pretty steep learning curve. Just there's so many different products out there to choose from, and they don't all kind of fit for this industry, of course. So Infusionsoft is the one, of course, that I found, but I use all of these: Zapier, Wistia, MyFusion Helper, plus this, Wicked Reports, Hub. I don't use HubSpot or SharpSpring, but they're good examples of the same kind of you can use it for automation, and they're great businesses too. So, but here's the thing: being that I have such a small brand, and I know pretty much all of my customers, my biggest hang-up was I didn't want my customers to feel like that I was sending them some robotic, automated, canned communications. So that was the big, thing that I had to get over in the beginning, and also the cost too. I think in this industry we're all kind of accustomed to anything that costs over $300 a month is a big, oh my God, But really, people outside this industry don't even think twice about it. I think that we have to kind of get over that too a little bit. There's a little bit of a, a lot of times there's a Kickstarter, and this is the training period or whatever, but that's usually where I feel people get hung up, and I did too, frankly, but once you get over it, it's all good, because when you realize how much, business and money this can bring back into your company, it's totally worth it. Anyway. And integrations in the wine industry too are pretty scarce. I think that's hopefully going to change. And Chris kind of talked on this earlier. Think about it. In the tech world, there's, this industry here, the wine world. We're only there's only a certain number of wineries out here that could potentially be a client. And of course, there's other solutions out there. They're all competing for that. So there's a certain kind of market cap, and when people are only accustomed to like $200-300 a month, these tech guys are like, why should we? Why should we even waste our time trying to get into this particular industry? Because it's just, there's not that much there. I'm hoping that that's going to change because we really need it to. But anyway, I did it by smashing a square peg into a round hole. I just kind of made these things work. I duct taped them together and just rigged it up. But I made it work, and it's been awesome for me. So here we go. In the end, it's probably saved my business. And here's a few examples how. This is just one of them. I think probably, all of us out here, our goal is to build our list, right? We need to continually get new people in our pipeline and, educate them about our brands and our stories and whatnot. So if you're good at all about making Facebook ads, you can make this the lead ad, So lead ad is cool because you can hyper target your perfect customer. I mean, I'm talking like geographically, or the top, 10 richest zip codes in Dallas or in Texas or whatever. Only market to those people. I mean, you can just drill down as far as you want. And these lead ads are like literally a 2-click to, first click, yes, I'm interested. I think this ad's cool. Second click, yep, that's my name, that's my email, that's my cell phone. Go ahead and submit it to the company, or to the business that's putting the ad out there. Second click, information goes out into the sky and drops into your CRM, right? And your CRM knows which lead ad that came from, whether it's, if you're marketing to people in Texas or New York or whatever, it knows where it came from, so that new lead in your CRM can be tagged as such, and that tag can initiate very specific follow-up communications. So here's, for me, what that looks like. New lead comes in, they get this tag. Now don't freak out, because this next slide is going to be a little bit insane. Not that one, but this one. So this is what my brand indoctrination campaign looks like. Up on the upper left there, that's that tag that came in from that lead ad. That is the start button that puts them into this, okay? So then down there in the red box, that's called a sequence. And inside there are these emails. And we do this. You got HTTP post, which essentially is turning off and turning on specific Facebook ads. So you can say, hey, Facebook, you see these 38 people? Yes. Do you recognize them? Facebook's like, of course I do. I know everything about everybody, emails and things like that. So he says, okay, cool. Yeah, this 38 or 138, whatever it is, people, send them this ad. Make them see this now. And so then they have a timer and then an email. And the email that goes out is very specific and similar to the ad you just initiated in Facebook. So I call it social shadowing. You're either going to see it in Facebook as in your news stream, or you're going to see it in the email, probably both. But then next timer comes, another email, another HTTP post, which essentially turns off one ad and turns on another ad. And so you're taking your customers through this journey. And I think it's important in the beginning, especially right here, it's like, you don't want, think of it like this. Not that I'm on it because I'm married, but Tinder, right? If you swipe right and she swipes right, then you get the information, right? So I've heard. And so I have friends that have it. So you both get the information of each other. You're not like, oh, cool, you swipe right. And yes, all right, cool. You want to get married? You don't do that. You got to date them first. You got to go down that pathway. It's the same thing when people come to your website and join your mailing list. You get jazzed. You're like, sweet, a new person on my list. Would you like to buy some wine? You don't want to be that guy. You want to gain their trust by at least touching them 8 or so times. I mean, the studies show you got to hit them like 8 or so times, 8 to 12 times of, soft communication, non-salesy, before you can, gain that trust and actually ask for a sale. So anyway, educate story down on the left. Those are just like me talking about wine country and my story as a winemaker and how I became a winemaker in Napa and all that stuff. And then we start introducing, for me it's one wine at a time, but you could do 2. And it's the same thing. It's like you send out the email about the wine, you turn on a Facebook ad about the wine, you wait a week, and then you move on to the next wine. I was thinking you guys would be like all glazed over and stuff, so I'd use like this funny goat thing, and then there's that. All right. Okay, so the cool thing about automation too is that, you know, when you can get this nerdy, is that there's goals, right? We have goals. Like let's say, for instance, I send out a new release. I'm releasing my Cabernet, and you know, of course, my goal is I want you to buy the Cabernet. So I have this email, wait a week or 3 days, whatever it is, send out another email. Hey, did you get that email? You know, time's ticking or whatever. And then wait a few more days and then send another email or whatever. Maybe you're turning on Facebook ads and stuff or whatever. But the point is this: if they did what you want them to do, why would you send them email 2 and 3? You know, and the cool thing is with these goals, the goals, you can set them up to actually pull you out of that particular sequence and stop those annoying emails and stuff, because they've done what you want them to do. All right. So another thing that's kind of interesting is, I mean, it could be any of these things. You can apply a tag to start a whole different campaign, have a to-do pop up in your manager's account to place a call, do some more retargeting, send another email offer, send snail mail, whatever. So that's just one of the campaigns. I mean, if you can kind of think in yourself, in your own mind, like, can you really remember if you have, you know, 180 people in your pipeline in different stages? Could you really remember, like, initiate these specific ads at the right time, send out those specific emails or SMS text messages at the right time or whatever? It's tough, you know, and especially like I saw for a guy like me, I had no employees for, you know, 12 years, right? It was just me. So being able to set this stuff up and have it do it for me and be able to sleep at night knowing, you know, it's happening while I'm sleeping, right? It's great. Keep going. There we go. The best part that I saw was that I'd get this random order online or a random wine club member that signed up online, and I'd be like, where the heck did these people come from? And then I'd look into the CRM and I'd see, like, oh my God, I've been marketing to this guy for like 2 months and I didn't even know it, you know? And they've gotten, you know, my story, they've seen introductions to wines, videos and things that I've sent to them or initiated on Facebook. I didn't even know it was happening. And that's the beautiful part about it. That to me is super powerful, because I mean, it's just, you know, you don't have to do anything. Lead scoring. Say a person comes into your pipeline, they're a pretty cold lead. You don't know anything about them. They haven't really shown you anything about who they are or how engaged they want to be with your brand. But as they start doing things, you know, like clicking on links and opening emails, what else? Let's see. Filling out web forms, you know, requesting to schedule tastings, things like that. You can assign value to each of those actions and they can automatically be applied. Or you can take value away from the lead score if they do something you don't want them to do, like cancel a club or unsubscribe to your emails. So score, you can set these goals up to say, okay, when they reach 5 stars or 5 flames or whatever, then do something. So on the left there, you've got the emails, the SMS, the Facebook stuff, whatever. Those things are happening. And as the lead score increases, once it hits that certain level, then that thing in the middle there, that's the goal that pulls them out and then pops them into the next one on the right, which could be, again, to the winery manager, make a call. Hey, this guy's super engaged, you know. He's visited your website 4 times. He's opened up all the emails. He's watched all the videos. You can literally set it up in your videos to where you can tag and say, you know, I wanted you to watch this video about this new wine I made. It's pretty cool. But I noticed you didn't get all the way through it. So here's a link to the video where you left off, essentially. I mean, it's pretty cool stuff you can do. Another one. It's so funny. I love that. All right, tasting room traffic. This is cool. So that looks like a mess, right? But that's what it looks like when someone schedules a tasting with me. So, and to them on the customer side, it's very clean. It's very elegant. You know, Cool thing is, so I'll tell you a story. I was doing a wine tasting, and me and the people were getting pretty chummy. And the guy asked, he goes, so outside of winemaking, what do you like to do? I was like, well, I like marketing automation stuff. He's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, remember that email you got a week ago exactly today that was a reminder about our tasting coming up? Yeah. I'm like, do you remember the email you got yesterday? Kind of confirming, making sure we're good and still on track? Yes, I remember that. How about that text message you got this morning that was like, hey, look forward to seeing you. Hope you had a good breakfast. And here's a little short link to a Google map that'll help you get to the property so you don't have any issues. He goes, yeah, I got all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I wrote those 9 months ago. And his wife literally slapped him and was like, man, he was all bragging how the winemaker was texting him and emailing him directly. And he thought that was you. And I was like, well, it was me. I wrote that. Those are all my words, And so like, the point is, like, instead of writing your correspondence over and over and over and over again and remembering when to send it out, write it really, really well one time and automate it. All right. Post-tasting follow-up's been huge too. There's only like a few things that are going to occur at a wine tasting, right? They're going to buy wine or not join the club. They're going to buy wine and join the club. They're going to not buy wine or join the club, or they're going to buy wine and not join the club. So I can basically go to a quick form, click a few little radio buttons. It takes me like 20 seconds to indicate exactly what they did, and my follow-up is very specific to, what they did in that tasting. Because my goal is to convert them to a club member, right? Always. And if they bought wine but didn't join the club, what I do is like, hey man, if you join the club, you get a huge discount the day of. So just want to make sure we're on the same page here and don't miss this opportunity. Because I'll literally like refund X%, if you join. And it's worked for me. Re-engaging cancel club members. These people have value to us. They say like it's the cost of gaining a client is so much, but I forget how it goes. You know what I'm talking about. Keeping a client is much cheaper than getting a new one. I think that's the point. But we all probably have wine club members or clubs here, and we're going to get cancellations. It's going to happen. But the best thing is if you can actually get those people back, right? If you can get them back, that's like awesome. That's the holy grail kind of stuff, right? So there's all these reasons, I've got too much wine. I don't like your wine. Hopefully they never say that. It's too expensive, or they don't want to say sometimes, or just need to take a break or whatever. So I don't like to automate the actual cancellation. That part, we want to create the least amount of friction possible in our customers' experience with our brands. But that's one spot I don't mind making friction. I want them to actually work for that cancellation a little bit. But anyway, ultimately, I'm going to get the knowledge of, why'd you cancel, ideally, and then I can put them through this pathway. And it's a 6-month, they cancel, they get this really funny GIF that I send out on my email that is Will Ferrell in the glass case of emotion, if you've ever seen that. And it says, hey, I'll reach out to you in 6 months and see if things have changed. And it's cool because like just 2 days ago, I got an email, and there's this guy, and he was like, you know what, you're right, Jason. I think, I do miss these wines. And I had to actually go down the list a little bit to see what I actually had sent to him, because I didn't even know I did it. But he rejoined the club from this automated email that he was in this pathway. So it freaking works. That right there alone, think about all those dollars just gone. If you get 5 or 10 of them back a year from this by literally like programming it and just clicking go, it pays for itself. That's the thing. People have to get over the initial upfront like expense. It pays for itself. Another one, retrieving updated credit card numbers from like declined credit cards and all that. And again, you want to create the least amount of friction as possible. So, I go in, someone's card declines, I can literally just pull out my phone, open the app, find their name, apply one tag, put my phone back in my pocket, and go about my day. And that's going to initiate, hey, these emails, hey, your credit card was declined. Here's a quick link. You can go to the form, and you can, get your credit card updated again, and it's super easy. It's mobile friendly and all that. All right. Wine releases, of course. This can be your MailChimp, essentially. I don't use MailChimp or anything like that. This does everything. Events, So I guess, really, what's your time worth, I'm small, so I know I don't have a lot of time to run through all that stuff, but, if you can get these things done with a few pushes of a button, clicks of a radio button or checkbox or whatever, and go about your day and take care of your actual business versus managing the minutia and the little tiny details of this kind of stuff, man, you just imagine how valuable that could be to you. So essentially that's pretty much my presentation. Again, I had a lot of notes and I was going to really finish off with a bang, but I can't see them. If you want to do this, you can. I actually realized I forgot to push the play button, but the text back and forth will work. If you text auto to that number or scan that QR code, it'll initiate text messages on your phone, and we can have some fun. And then that's me. So if you guys are interested, if you want, if I could be a resource for you or anything like that, I'd be happy to do it. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff that I do, I can literally set you up with it and be your point man and all that. So that is it for me, and I look forward to Q&A. I'll hand it over to Jan.
Thank you, Jason.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Jan Krauss. I'm the creative director at Vin. You can check us out online at vinagency.com, and I've also published a post today talking about what I'm going to present here with some links and to the tools that we're going to talk about. So Vin is a Portland-based creative studio and brand consultancy. We're focused on the world of wine. And so we mostly do websites, but also brand strategy, visual identity design, and packaging design. And in the past 10 years, we've worked with over 100 wineries in Oregon, Washington, California, across the country and around the world. And so these range from boutique winemaker brands to the largest winery in Oregon. And so working with these clients, we've learned a lot over the years. And as we've helped them do their marketing campaigns, I wanted to share some insights we've learned, as well as some information about some tools related to marketing automation. Okay, and so as we've heard, we're talking about marketing automation. We're talking about using software tools to automate and streamline your marketing workflow and campaigns. And so a lot of this has to do with triggering events that are maybe patched into your e-commerce system or scheduling things to happen automatically. And also I want to kind of expand on this and talk about just in general website tools or software tools, because anytime you build something with software, it's a level of automation between you and what you want and the computer behind it that's making it happen. And so, running a small winery, you have a lot of things to do, and marketing is one of them. This maybe doesn't have to be an onerous task, and some of these tools can maybe help you out. So these are the things that we're going to talk about today really quickly: are email, social media, analytics, and the website. And so email can be one of the most important ways that you're connecting with customers these days. And the first piece is, of course, collecting the email addresses and building up your mailing list. And so this generally happens, in the tasting room, at your events, when you're pouring, and also on the website. And so these mailing lists become really valuable because these are, potentially people who want to get in touch with you and are interested in your wine and want to hear your story. And you can segment these mailing lists, and maybe you have a campaign that targets a certain part of the country or a certain way that you've connected with these people, and you can kind of group them together. And so maybe you have a wine club, and this could be a really valuable piece of a mailing list because these people are potentially going to buy your wine whenever you have a club release. And so these are hot, valuable leads. And so These days, we're generally using services like MailChimp, vertical response, or constant contact, and this kind of automates the process of creating your email campaigns and then also designing email templates so that you don't have to just send it out from your home computer on Outlook or your whatever app you're using. And so MailChimp is probably the forerunner in these. I really enjoy it personally because it's got this really intuitive tool for designing your email templates and also managing the campaigns. And so from my point of view, with kind of a brand-centric perspective, it's really important to have a high level of visual quality in your design. And so you want email templates that are branded on the same level and similarly with your website and your packaging design so that when people get these emails, they're getting a consistent experience of your brand across all these different touch points. And so in MailChimp, you can easily create your list, segment your lists out, run specific campaigns to target these different groups. So maybe you're having a promotion or a release and you want to send out an email related to that, and it's got a link to your website with a place where people can purchase the product or a promotion. And so I personally really think it's important to invest in your website and try to drive traffic there because it's a great opportunity to tell your story and really engage with people and also funnel people into the e-commerce purchase path. And the other thing about websites is, people can get it anywhere they are around the world. So a lot of times, half of the traffic is mobile these days and people are on their couch, or they're at the restaurant or at the store and they're curious about you and they're looking you up. Well, you can, connect with them anywhere. And so a lot of the buzz that I'm hearing related to marketing automation is MailChimp's tools. And so they've essentially released a series of tools that you can patch into their email campaign flow and trigger automatically emails based on events that happen within your e-commerce flow. So for example, someone's a new subscriber, you could send them an email to welcome them. If they were shopping on the site and they didn't, follow through the purchase path, you could maybe catch that and say, hey, we noticed that you abandoned your cart, want to check it out again. And so if you're interested in this, you can look this up when you get home, and lots of information on MailChimp's site about these. So out of the box, it's integrated with Shopify, WooCommerce, and Magento, and it has an API so that if you work with a developer, you could potentially patch it into your e-commerce workflow as well. Okay, and so with social media, the main piece that I'm finding is related to publishing once and scheduling. And so the tool for this is Hootsuite, and the idea is that it's integrated with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And so you could just, publish your post in this one place and then have it distributed out to these different platforms automatically. So that the idea of scheduling is that it gives you an opportunity to kind of plan ahead, and then once the release drops, you could be planning ahead and doing other things and working on your next campaign. But so our brand strategist, Annie Jefferson at Vin, reminds me that people really don't like feeling like they're getting spammed. They're just going to ignore it. People get a lot of emails these days. It's really easy to just ignore an email. And also, if you look at these social media platforms, they each kind of have a different focus and approach that you want to take. So for example, with Twitter, you're maybe trying to start a conversation. With Instagram, it's maybe more about kind of lifestyle and showing what's happening. Maybe there's an interesting story about like some goats that were born recently at Sea Vineyard, and you're trying to connect with people on a personal level with a little anecdote. And on Facebook, maybe you're trying to build community, and so maybe you don't want the same approach, the same post to go out across all these platforms. You want to kind of target your message depending on how people are interacting with these different social media platforms. On the other hand, at Vin, so we published a post about this presentation, and we promoted it on social media with an image and some text and a link to it. And we dropped the same thing on Instagram and Facebook because it's for that purpose, a similar format we wanted to get across. Okay, so with analytics, we're talking about software tools that give you information and intelligence about your website and also maybe marketing campaigns. So MailChimp, for example, would have some reporting built in about how many click-throughs how many people opened up these emails, then how many people actually clicked on the link that you've got selected. And then the foremost tool is Google Analytics. And so you basically hook this into your website, and it gives you information about the visitors to your site. So it can tell you all kinds of useful things like where they are in the world, geographical location, what browser they come in, what device size, whether it's mobile, tablet, or desktop. And then you can look at page views and what search keywords people are finding to get to your site. So highly recommend people, you have your website, but try to gain intelligence about what's happening on your website. And this is a really useful way. And so the idea with how this patches into marketing campaigns is you're sending out your email, and then you want to get metrics on how many people are opening this, and then how many people are clicking the link that takes you to the website. And then you can use Google Analytics to see how many people hit this landing page, and then you can compare that with your e-commerce sales results of how many people actually followed all the way through to the end and turned into conversions and sales. So it's a way of gaining intelligence and kind of keeping track on how things are going. And so WordPress has this built in as well in its website content management system through the plugin Jetpack. And Squarespace also has it built in with its activity section here. So it gives you information about how many people are visiting and page clicks, page views, that kind of thing. And so I also want to talk about, like I said, we were focused primarily on websites. I think it's really important to invest in your website and really make it work for you and help tell your story and engage with people. And so these are some custom solutions that we've built that kind of helped our clients with their marketing campaigns and using the website as a tool to help kind of funnel people into the purchase flow for the DTC, and also just kind of reinforcing the relationship and the brand experience and kind of talk about who they are. And so the first one I want to talk about is a landing page. Many of you will be familiar with Oregon wine writer Catherine Cole. She's also the communications director at VIN, and she hosts the podcast The Four Top on Oregon Public Broadcasting, which won the James Beard Award last year for Best Podcast. And so as part of a campaign to celebrate the one-year anniversary, thank the panelists who have been on, and just kind of re-engage with the listeners on the mailing list, sent out the email campaign and set up a landing page. And so the idea with the landing page is it's a place that you can direct people to, through whatever, you're mailing your email or whatever way you're guiding people to that. And you can, track that with your analytics and get stats on how many people are seeing it. And then a lot of times with wineries, maybe you'll have a call to action button that's like, let's purchase this product because it's related to a release or something like that. And so in this case, the landing page was about, giving people an opportunity to contact, reminding them how they can listen to the podcast and also connect on social media. So Kerr Cellars is a VIN client run by golf star Christy Kerr. And so for many wineries, their scores are one of their biggest assets. And so they have a lot of good scores, and they wanted to highlight these. And I think maybe this connects also with a golf audience who like numbers and scores. And so anyways, we built this splash page. And so a splash page is kind of an interstitial step. It's kind of a speed bump before the homepage. So the idea was that before people actually full on dive into the website and start exploring, we're going to give them a view of what's important. And this tool, we made it so that they can actually really easily log in and edit it in WordPress and change out the scores. So in case the 90 drops off and they get a number 93, they can just add it in easily. And then for Kerr Cellars, their wine club, the Champions Club, is really important. And so they're also trying to guide people into that through these call to actions at the bottom. And so, again, the idea is using the website as a tool to aid in your media campaigns and funnel people into your purchase flow. So Bonovia is a VIN client. We launched their website a couple weeks ago, and they're a high-end estate winery in Santa Rosa. And so this is a quick view under the hood, but we essentially built a promotional tool that lives on their homepage. And it's something that they can schedule and turn on and off, so it's automated. And they can swap out the content depending on what they decide they want to promote at any given time, what's coming out, new releases or special deals around the holidays. Maybe it's a 6-bottle gift pack or something like that. And so this quick view under the hood just kind of shows you in WordPress they get different fields. They can change the title, swap out the text. Schedule it when it begins and ends, add an image, and change the call to action link and link text. And so here's what it looks like on the public view of the website. So it's immediately below the fold on the homepage. The first thing on the website, you give them a big brand impression, 30 seconds to get to know who you are, what you're about. And then we have the call to actions for them, main important ones: acquire wine, book a visit, and join the mailing list. And then we've got this automated promotional spotlight here. All right, so I want to take a step back really quickly and kind of look at the big picture. And so winemakers want to make wine and people want to drink wine. And to keep all of us in business and all the wineries afloat, we need to sell wine. And so to sell wine, we need to connect with customers. And so what we're really doing with all these interactions with customers and all these different touch points is building your brand. And so if you look at the brand from the customer or the people point of view, it really is about kind of their idea of your reputation and who you are and your personality in their mind. And if you look at it from the inside out of the winer perspective, well, you have the products that you're selling, and then you have your personality as a brand, and then you have your visual identity and your website and your packaging and all these things. Really, you want them to be consistent and think about making a human and personal connection so that you're telling your story and really trying to engage people in a way that doesn't seem overly generic or spammy. So really what we're doing is trying to take every point of contact as an opportunity to build relationships, build a sense of trust and value in customers' minds. And so, I want to thank you for your time and best of luck with your brands and your marketing campaigns.
Thank you to the panelists. We're about to open this up for Q&A. I do have one anonymous question that came through. If anybody else wants to use the app, you can certainly send questions in. The question is, so is there a third party to connect Order Report or Wine Direct with MailChimp and a Constant Contact? If not, do you see one on the horizon? Anybody know?
I don't know specifically about Order Report, but I think Jason touched on something called Zapier. And one of the points, when Jason was talking, it seems very complex, right? One of the points that I was making is there are tools that are simple out there, like to connect to use the MailChimp workflows. You're going to have that connection. Zapier, I believe, is going to be something that you're going to see. Certainly it's integrated with VineSpring, but you're going to see a lot more, I think, follow the Zapier path. So what Zapier is, and even though, to answer the question, I think no, I don't think Orderport or anybody else is integrated currently with Zapier, and I think that's going to change quickly this year, because Zapier is a middle layer. Instead of hiring a programmer to take two systems and the endpoints that have been exposed in those systems, the API, and create connections between the systems, that's a costly thing to do. Zapier has provided the middle layer so that normal, everyday people can go in and say, when I have an order, I want that information to now connect with what program? MailChimp, Constant Contact, et cetera. Zapier is integrated with now over 1,000 different applications. So, new systems are being released all the time. Zapier will be the way to connect. And I encourage you, whoever you're using for e-commerce, bring it up with them. Have you considered Zapier? Because it's an easy way for systems to talk to other systems.
Okay, great. Another question that just came in. Did anybody else have another comment on that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's also really valuable as you're evaluating different systems for e-commerce and point of sale or anywhere else that you're really interacting with your customers, that you look for an open platform where data can actually be extracted out and fed into a marketing platform, which isn't available with every system. And that's what's really going to enable these types of automations, is the ability to pull that out of the system and put it into whatever marketing engine you choose.
I want to add one more thing. I think the tide is changing in this because of cloud computing largely, and because of the specialty of these applications. Like MailChimp is a marketing automation system. They used to call themselves an email marketing platform, and they've changed their tagline to marketing automation by the parent company. I can't remember what they were called. That you have all of these companies that we say, I want to use the best of breed point of sale. I want to use Square, but I need it to talk to my wine club management system. And open systems, I think we're seeing the tide shift, or where everybody is going to start saying, great, how do we connect that easily for our clients?
Next question that came in is, nowadays, every time I go to a website, they immediately ask for my information to join their newsletter. What's the capture rate of this tool, and is it effective? Anybody know?
Any idea, Jason? Any idea what the effectiveness is of capturing people via just coming to the website and actually clicking through on the mailing list?
Yeah, so like,
That's foundational, right?
yeah, I mean, you definitely have to encourage that, and the way I do it is, if someone visits my website, my system is kind of attached to that, so it actually will query the IP address of where the person's coming from, their computer, and in the CRM, it knows that if you're in the CRM. So it says, hey, is Joe Blow on our mailing list? No. Okay, 1098-765-4321, pop up, and then we have very specific wording that says, hey, we make a very small amount of wine. If you don't, get on our list, you may never actually get a chance to try the wine. So you're using emotion to push them, but again, it's like if they're already on our mailing list, they don't get that pop-up because the system looks at the IP and it knows, oh, that IP address is associated with Joe Blow. He has a mailing list tag. No need to pop up. So yeah, you can definitely do that.
What would you guess is the? I don't think any of us have the actual statistics, but you probably have the most experience with just a passive mailing list form on your website, the engagement on that versus putting tools in place to drive people to it.
I mean, you're always driving. I mean, we have constant Facebook ads that do that, to get people on the site. But I mean, I don't know. I get probably 4 to 10 a day, I'd say sometimes.
Sign-ups?
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Because you got to spend money on marketing. You have to actually. All this is like all good, and it's like having this cool tool that. But if you don't drive people to that tool and enable it, then it's just going to be sitting there being a cool tool, that you never use. So you got to spend money, either on Google or on Facebook to get people to your site, to get those visits, because if you're not doing that, don't waste the money either way.
So speaking of money, let's say there's a small winery, 2,000-3,000 cases. They've never done this marketing automation stuff before, right? They've got a website, they've got e-commerce, they've got a club, but they haven't gone down the path of what we're talking about today. What should they expect to spend in terms of resources, which is time, people, and money, to really get going? Anybody want to answer that?
Can I start? Because it's going to ramp up.
Yeah.
So one of the things Jason was saying earlier is you've got to spend the money to get in there. One of the points I'm making is that there are tools that are allowing you to just sort of take that first step. And that investment is not significant. You could speak specifically.
So what are we talking
about? Well, yeah. So MailChimp specifically, within the MailChimp campaigns, you can set up Facebook marketing ads, and Facebook owns Instagram, so those two cross post with one another. Jason, what's a fair budget for a Facebook ad?
I usually do about, for one specific ad, usually $10 a day.
Yeah. And so before just using MailChimp and their sort of, I'll call it baby step tools, to what Jason is actually showing you up on the screen, you're not investing, you're not laying out thousands of dollars. You're laying out manageable amounts of money that you can turn on or off at any time. And I say you go into Facebook and you just try it. And then you're either going to get bit by the bug, you're going to start demanding that your e-commerce provider change, and why are you not more tightly integrated with Facebook? Or you're going to turn to somebody, a consultant, and Jason, your company, Echo DTC, does just that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So another thing I want to point out, I mean, it's not $10 a day just on one. Usually you have multiple ads going, so it can add up. But I like to put it like this, especially to people in the wine business. I was highly distributed in the beginning. Probably like 70% distributed and 30% direct to consumer. And I've switched that now. I'm about 80% direct and only 20, and that's just because I feel like I should be in certain markets. But, if you consider this, we'll just use a $100 bottle of wine as like because it's, easy math. $100 bottle is going to be sold to a distributor in Florida or Texas for $50, right? FOB. So you get $50 per bottle, but you don't actually get $50 a bottle because you have cost to produce that wine. So let's say it's $25 a bottle you actually get after the dust settles, but then you don't even get that because now you got to fly to that city, to that state, and help the distributors sell the wine for them, which we all love doing, which is ridiculous. But anyway, so think about it. $100 bottle of wine, you're maybe getting $20. What happens if you take that and flip it around and say, I'm not going to send you that wine. I'm going to take that $50 that I otherwise would have just done like this with and put a portion of that towards marketing. How quickly would your marketing budget be huge? How much could you push down that path to get the direct to consumer? Because that's what we all want in the first place, right? So I went hard on that. I started spending. I'd go months spending $3,000 to $5,000 a month on Facebook ads, and I had other marketers in my other little circles laugh at me and like, that's nothing, dude. Like, I know guys that spend $150,000, $250,000 a month, and that's like a normal month. It's no big deal.
So for your brand, or for a brand like yours, what would you say is a fair amount to have the full consultation package?
Yeah. Like I said, everybody, there's always like the Kickstart. Kickstart's usually like $1,800 to $2,000 to kind of get the on-ramping or whatever you want to call it, the education, the training and whatnot, get the tool in place, importing contacts and kind of getting all the tagging correct. And then the thing is, like, that I use is Infusionsoft. You got to think of that like it's like the motor, right, in the car. The motor alone is not going to run the vehicle. You have to have other things that plug into it that are specific to your industry. And so when you take all these plugins and add it on, monthly, on a monthly ongoing, I'd say, on the high side, $600 for the stuff. Yeah. If you need a consultant to help you, build it out, it's not too bad. Probably like, $1,000 to $2,000 a month, and I'd say you don't need them forever.
And what I want to stress is my vision for the future, the near future, is that consultants are going to be offering services, especially around MailChimp because it's so popular, to set up automation sort of out of the box for you. So with their service, they'll be like, hey, for X amount of money, let's say $500, we'll give you the template. And then for an additional $500 a month retainer, we'll run it for you. And then for an additional, these kind of services, Jason is on the leading edge of this stuff. I think we're right at the beginning of seeing this be prolific for small brands.
So I'd like to open it up to the audience to see if we have any other questions, and we do have a mic here. Any questions from the group?
Can I make a point about the
please.
Pop-up mail list? So lots of times you'll see you go to a website and first thing pops up, join our mailing list. I personally don't have data, but to back this up, I don't think that's an effective way to do it because really you need to first engage people and get to know them. I mean, you don't just like, meet someone in person and like, give me your phone number, And so the other side of that is, as you're leaving a page, sometimes thing pops up and it's like, you've already lost me. So I think a better way to collect email addresses is in part of the flow of the website and the storytelling. And so, and not pop-ups. And so the way that we like to do this event a lot is the mailing list sign-up can be one of the most important call to actions on the site, that or the wine club sign-up. And so put it in a prominent, important spot that everyone's going to hit. And so generally, everyone's going to see the footer at least once. And so if you have it right above the footer on every page, then people are going to know how to join the mailing list. If, through their journey, they decide, having gotten to know you, that they want to join, now they know where to do it, and they can just easily sign up and join. So I think that's a better way to take it.
Jan, we have a question for you, and then we'll get to the one in the back. Is curious to know which automated email platforms and scheduling software you prefer when you are launching websites or designing websites. For Jan.
So I recommend MailChimp. It's just the easiest to use, really intuitive, usable interface. It's really streamlined. They've really thought it out well, and they're really forward-looking with this automation tools that they're releasing.
Great. Okay, we had a question in the back there. Yes.
Right. So we recently went to Wine Direct, and so we've been about a year getting really comfortable with it. And within that POS and e-commerce system, it has some automated email capabilities. So my question is, how does that differ, if you know, from things like MailChimp or other automation for marketing capabilities that are provided by a POS?
Yeah, I haven't used Wine Direct, but I'm familiar with some of their drip campaigns, abandoned cart emails, that kind of thing. MailChimp is taking it a step further with social engagement. They're tracking where the user has landed on your page, specifics about what product they viewed. They're acting. And again, I don't know if Wine Direct does all this, but they're digging deeper into the customer experience and then reacting more personally to what they've done via your website. So, say you land on just Pinot Noir. You're not looking at the Chardonnay at all. MailChimp can then send you targeted emails that are specific to just a varietal that you've looked or the vineyard that you've looked at. Now you have to set those things up in workflows. It's sort of a workflow for dummies compared to the Infusionsoft workflows you saw up there, which were really they're elaborate. Maybe they're not complex. They're very elaborate though. MailChimp does that same kind of workflow idea, just in a much more simplistic kind of way. What you're giving up then is, Jason can connect Infusionsoft to pretty much any application out there. He said text messaging, for example. Maybe you want to engage your customer in specific circumstances via text. Infusionsoft can do that. My firm, VineSpring, uses Slack. We use Slack as an internal communications platform. Maybe when somebody like Jason's example was, well, this guy is really interested in this wine. Let's send a message to Slack so it pops up on the team. Maybe you have 2 or 3 people acting as a team, and they can react to contact that person at that point. So bottom line, I think MailChimp takes it just a few steps deeper and creates that allows for a more personalized outcome, personalized automation workflow.
Do we have anybody from Wine Direct in the room who could answer that? Okay, because I do know they have a booth here. So.
Well, and are you familiar?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Okay, a couple other questions coming in. What wine club member management software do you recommend for small wineries under 1,000 cases that connects to these other automation messaging apps discussed?
So it's, a loaded question. Whoever said that, thank you. Know that because of my background with the small wine label, my heart and soul rests with small wineries, and I'm the co-founder of VineSpring. So I'm a tech guy. My business partner is the lead architect of VineSpring. And our vision for what this panel is talking about is what our next generation platform coming out in April is all about. We have a $99 per month plan, a $199 per month, and a $399 per month. And, you know, I hope we are leading the charge to show the beverage alcohol community what can be done connecting these applications. That's the main point. Rather than developing all of this like WineDirect under one umbrella, we're saying we're never going to do email marketing. We're never going to create a point of sale. You know, we're going to create a hub and spoke model that is easy for, you know, my wife, who's not tech savvy, asks me sometimes still how to log into Facebook. I mean, that gives you an idea. Like, yin and yang makes a good relationship. That, you know, so that she can get in there and go, oh, what? She can see it put to work in easy to understand workflows. But then, you know, that 1,000-case winery might become more like a Jason and see value in investing in a much more powerful, digging much deeper than what those more simple automation workflows do. So, you know, I think the answer today or this year will be VineSpring for that. But again, I'm a winery as well. I want to see change in this entire. I want my competitors to change too. I want there to be options and competition.
Great. Okay, any other questions from the audience? Yes, down here, Matt. We have a mic coming to you, just a second.
How do you decide how many days apart to schedule something in automation? Is there like a good average? Is it like a week, a month? Does it like depend on like the type of automation?
You can take that too.
So it's not super spammy.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on the type of campaign and what your intention is for that campaign. So I think it would be different for, say, a drip campaign if you see that someone is no longer...
Can you define what a drip campaign is?
Yeah, pardon me. So a drip campaign would be someone who... a campaign that's targeted towards some sort of churned customer. So that could be someone who dropped out of your club. It could be someone who hasn't been in the tasting room for a while. That's probably someone who you want to target at a specific time and a little bit more lightly than
I do mine like 1 week apart usually, you know, because I'll initiate that that Facebook, you know, fun little video or whatever, and then towards the end of the week they'll get the one email, and it's you know, it's not always branded either. That's another thing I think is important to talk about, especially when we're doing automation. You know, if you don't want to make it feel robotic, you know, take all the branding off, have it look like it's actually coming from you, you know, and just, I mean, I'll make like little crappy iPhone videos, you know, of me in the vineyard, and I'll do a screenshot of that video itself and use that as the thumbnail in the email. So it looks like I literally like sat down and made this specifically for you, right? But yeah, I'd say to answer your question, for that, like kind of like an indoctrination campaign of getting to know you, about a week or so apart.
I think a big thing there too is just adding value with every touch.
Mm-hmm.
So not focusing so much on the timing, but how are you adding value to that customer in the moment when the content is going out, and kind of using that as a guideline for how frequently we are touching the client, because as soon as they get something that's not valuable to them, the next email that they see come through, they're going to archive. So it's important that you're creating value.
And I personally like, somebody signs up from the mailing list, they get an immediate email that's the transactional email that gives them maybe a username, password, but then maybe it's at like 5:49 in the evening, like I'm a busy guy, and so the more personal email is coming at a time that it's not like an hour and a half after, it's like at a set time during the day that's like, oh wow, this person is like personally getting back to me. If you can nail that timing, it's just like having them to the property and engaging that personal experience.
And then speak to that in the email, like, it's the end of the day. I'm just getting ready to go home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes it seem so real. Or or like, you send up one on, Saturday morning at like 9 o'clock. Hey, I was just having a morning coffee. Thought I'd, send this out to you. I saw you're on my website, so I thought I'd call you. You can get creepy for sure. You can get really creepy.
I call it creative, not creepy.
Any other questions? Yes, right here. We need.
What would be your response to a customer who called you out for being creepy/creative? If someone somehow realized, either because you told them or they found out that you weren't sitting in the coffee shop thinking of them. Have you ever had a situation where someone realized that this was all automated and was unhappy, or is there what would the interaction be like?
I haven't personally. I mean, there've been there's always human error that's possible when you program this stuff, and so maybe you'll send an email that's tagged to a cancel club member that's actually active, or the other way around, and they're like, why did I get this? And you're like, oh, sorry, you're tagged a certain way. My apologies. Most of the time, I think people are so desensitized to email these days. Right now, they don't even think twice about it. They just kind of move on about their day. I mean, I've had clients that get like really upset because something didn't happen just perfect, and I'm like, man, come on. I mean, you telling me you haven't got an email that you realized pretty quickly that it was misplaced, or mispresented to you? You just move on. Who cares? It's not that big of a deal. I mean, not in my book, at least.
With Dunstan, we used a company called Wine Leverage. Anybody use Wine Leverage? It's a telesales company. It was amazing, the response that we got. I couldn't believe the amount of wine that we sold, because I hired a firm that I've never met anybody at the firm who started outbound calling my mailing list. And like Jason, I know a lot of my mailing list customers. So they're like, wow, you're expanding. Oh my gosh, Chuck called me and gave me this. I had no idea you still had a little of that Syrah left. And I was just like, yeah. I didn't want to fess up to it. But I wanted to say, I think it's awesome, that it worked. And thanks. Yeah, it could be a contractor that I call it. I mean, it doesn't have to be an employee, but on the other side of the email automations, if a mistake were to happen, I'm a tech guy, so I like to talk about the tech. And I like to say, yeah, actually, we really worked hard. My wife and I sat down and worked on all the different scenarios that we wanted to engage with our customers in, and it's really working well. It's a rarity that, unless you create a screw up, it's a rarity to have to fess up. I have to be honest. I think the Wine Leverage thing made me feel more guilty than the email automations, but it was very effective. And I was a total doubter. For anybody out there, I was a real doubter on telesales. It's completely changed my mind on it.
Wow.
Okay, we have one last question. Gentleman in the blue shirt here. Where's our mic?
Two more.
I'm sorry, two more. Yes. Sorry.
It's okay. I've noticed an increase in kind of captive audience-based advertising during events like the Super Bowl or the Oscars, where people are typically sitting around on their phones. But I haven't really seen that from wineries. I've seen it from other retailers. Do any of you have any clients that have experimented with that, or can you speak to that, or any of the parameters that they've used, either in email campaigns or social media?
I'm not sure what captive. Can you explain it a little bit more?
So captive audience, times where maybe outside of business hours at a winery, but when people are typically on their phones at a more, a heavier usage, during the Super Bowl, I'm watching the commercials, and the rest of the time I'm on Instagram. So themed based campaigns, kickoff savings during Super Bowl, 25% off during the game. Is that something that you're starting to see more with your winery clients yet?
Jan, do you have any experience in that?
Sorry, no.
No? Okay.
So I in VineSpring 3, the new platform, we're able to create filters that you can apply to customer groups. And so the filter is automatically putting people into that group that fit the, maybe it's men, people who are couples over like Father's Day, and then you can set up an automation on a Monday to automatically send out a promotion for that week of whoever's in that group. But I don't have any data on how effective it's been because it's so new.
Okay.
There's real quick, there's a software, reporting software called Wicked Reports. It's got out of Boston. If you're a data nerd and you want to really, really geek out on the data, man, it's so powerful what this thing can do. Because like literally, if you think about it, as a person joins your list, that's their first entry point, right? Well, just because they join your list, you're tracking. This thing tracks all the social media engagement, the Facebook stuff, the Instagram stuff, Google AdWords, analytics, and all that, and also your emails. So you can look at a timeline of when this customer came in, if they re-engaged again, and because it's not always the last click that's responsible for that sale, right? So if you can look back and say, they bought off this Facebook ad. No, that's not where you got them. You got them over here. And most of the time, it's like a single linear thing. And this thing is like, okay, where'd they go and what have they done along this pathway to really attribute, where that sale came from, including which state they live in, what time they opened their email and clicked to purchase and all that. I mean, and then you can take that information and really start to, market towards that as well.
Okay, I promised one last question, the gentleman in blue, even though we are 2 minutes over. Yes.
Okay, Chris, I'll make it quick. So, Chris, you mentioned Wine Leverage, that you had used them and that they'd been super effective. But it also sounds like you don't any longer use them. I'm wondering if it were so effective, why that is.
No, I do use them. And
you do? Okay.
So Dunstan, I used to do all the sales. I used to do the tasting room, the vineyard visits, the very personal experience, and I no longer do. A guy named Jim does, who works for us. Jim brought Wine Leverage in, and I've just watched the sales, and it's been a big impact. I mean, it's moved, it's cleared out vintages, that were left over. I'm not talking hundreds of cases. We might have 30 cases of something left over, and I'm like, oh, gosh, what am I going to do? Well, next year I'll offer something on a vertical, and Jim threw it to Wine Leverage. The telesales was much more effective than I thought. Again, it all comes down to the personalization. And her question just triggered for me, that sort of like, right, Chuck, right, it was a real person. They're calling from our number. They mask it. They do everything. So, anyway.
Well, I would like to thank Chris, Sarah, Jason, and Jan for the effort they've put in for this afternoon session. Thank you.